Well, what a turn of events. I think we saw a little bit of everything in that game today, but just really proud of the way our kids came out and we started the game, especially in the first half. I thought we were outstanding, especially that second quarter. But like I said, thankfully we did our work early because you never know what's going to happen. Obviously, things changed quickly once we lost Jade and KT, and then India ends up fouling out. But I told Sid after the game, it's probably only fitting that she finished her last home game here playing every position on the floor, because I think that's what she's done for the program. Just anything the program's needed from her, anything throughout her 5 years, she's just been willing to do it and has just impacted winning. And it was only fitting for her to have to do a little bit everything to finish the game for us as well.
How are those two?
Hopefully okay. I don't really know exactly. I was just told during the game that they were done for the game. So, they'll be evaluated with our team doctors and our medical team, and hopefully we're okay. It certainly gives you a scare when both those guys went down, especially in a quick period of time. But KT took a great charge. I think she just landed really hard on it, but hopefully she's okay. And not exactly sure what happened with Jade, but obviously the concern was her knee, so hopefully we'll be okay.
For Sydney, just last game in this building, just you've been with her for a year, but you know how much she's meant to this program over the years. Just what is she? You've talked about what she's meant to you, but just kind of go into that a little more.
Yeah, I think it's probably really hard to put into words, like everything that Sid has just meant to this program for 5 years. I mean, she's put her heart and soul in everything, that we've done. Obviously this year, and you know how much she impacted them the previous 4 years. But I think with both Sid and Anaya, I don't think there's been any team they've been on that they've impacted as much as this team. And I think they can really hang their hat on that and the progress that this team has had, just their leadership, just the stability that they've both given us. Sid was obviously, you knew it was going to be an emotional day for her, and then, her brother shows up right before the game, and she doesn't know that he's flying in, and so there's a lot of emotions that go into it. But more than anything, she's just poured her heart and soul into this program. Just loves the community, loves the fans. They obviously love her, and has just done, just a class act. Everything that she has done, and. Just really proud of her and what she's been able to do. But as I've said before, we're losing a lot with those two, and really, really going to miss those two.
Anaya's talked multiple times about how glad she is that she came here for her last year. I know you all are glad too. Just kind of talk about what she has meant on the court for you and off the court.
Yeah, I've said it multiple times, but I'm really glad she came here too. We felt like in the recruiting process, she was the kid we targeted, and she was the kid we ended up getting. And, everything that she has done for us, we thought she could do, and she's done even more than that. I think she's grown, she's developed. She came in a very short period of time and adjusted to playing a new position. Primarily had played the two at Kansas, had played point in high school, but I felt like, especially with what our needs were and what her abilities were, I felt like we could really mold her into a great point guard for us. And she's certainly done that. She's been just a hard worker, coachable, fun-loving kid, just a kid you love to be around, just great personality. You guys see that, probably in here a little bit, but has just done a great job. I think one of the other things she really did is connected with everybody and really helped bridge the gap between some of the old players that had already been here and then the new group of kids that came in. And, she's somebody that she doesn't talk a lot, but when she talks, they listen. And that's one thing that I've encouraged her is to have more of a voice, and I think she's really developed that. But she's somebody that they really look up to just in how she approaches things every day, and just how she's so selfless. She just goes out and plays hard and doesn't do it for herself. She does it for them.
Coach, I asked Anaya, I said, look, when you came here, you looked around the collection of talent, and it was kind of a patchwork job, right? Because you didn't inherit a lot. So is it surprising that this team is playing as well as it is at where we're at right now? Or is it like, hey, I had the belief in them and they've materialized what we put in and day out?
Yeah, I think the thing that I really appreciate about Anaya and Sid, when Sid was obviously already here and made the decision to stay and play her 5th year here. And then Anaya, when she was coming in, she was the first recruit we got. And so it wasn't like she saw everybody else who was coming in and then jumped on board. She was the one that said, I believe and I trust in what you're telling me and what you think we can do here and the opportunity that she has. And I think more than anything, I just appreciate those guys for just believing and trusting in me and our staff, and just just being great leaders for us. And it's hard to put it into words, but everything that they've meant to their teammates, to the program, to the community, to me. But those two kids are special kids, and I think you look at the rest of the team, and they've watched how they've worked, how they've sacrificed, how they're selfless, and it's hard not to follow that when you see it day in and day out.
So after the very emotional pregame ceremony, I looked at you and said, Coach, all right, enough of the tears, let's get the win. How nice was it to see them snap out of that early half funk, get playing, and get you guys rolling, and from there, you could kind of cruise control?
Well, it was definitely a relief because I've been through enough senior days that's not always the case, that you come out and you're really sharp, because you understand that there is a lot of emotion involved. I think the plan was to take a few more pictures, and at that point looked up and saw, I think there were 5 or 6 minutes. I was like, we need to start warming up, because you could tell, teammates were crying, they're crying, there was a lot of emotion involved, and I felt like we needed to just get out there and start getting warmed up and getting focused. I think I don't know if it helped us. We haven't had very good starts our last couple games, and so we really emphasized that. It was a major emphasis today, and now you have senior day on top of that, so it worries you even a little bit more, but I think it was the message regardless if it was senior day or not. And so I think hopefully that maybe helped us to knowing that we really needed to lock in and get off to a good start. And thankfully, we took care of business early, because obviously a lot of things changed by the end of the game.
And lastly from me, right, being able to see your team do this, you got 2 away games left and then tournament time. I asked your players, I said, how important is it to focus on those games and yet not over-focus, kind of psych yourself out? How do you guys keep everything loose and relaxed and just concentrate one at a time?
Yeah, I'm just excited for our kids and the opportunity they have. Obviously a big weekend coming up on the road, our last weekend, and then heading into the tournament. Just continue to stay focused on task at hand. You can't get too far ahead of yourself. You can't think about shoulda, woulda, coulda from the past. You just got to stay focused on what's the most important thing right now. And I think our kids have done a good job of doing that this year. I think they've stayed present in what the task is at hand. We've grown a lot this year. And now it's time to kind of come together, and hopefully we're playing our best basketball heading into the game on Thursday.
What were those early conversations with Sydney like when you first took the job? Because you played for one of the greatest coaches of all time. You didn't have to have 3 coaches over your career. Just what was it like getting to know her and building that trust with her that she lost most of her friends, took off and graduated, transferred elsewhere, but how was that early on?
I think that probably, my biggest challenge initially, and what I told them is, is we had to build that trust. I had to build it individually with them, and then collectively as a group, we had to build it with each other. And the only way you do that is with time. And so you're trying to expedite, make up for maybe some lost time that you didn't have. But, Sid was kind of the voice of, for the kids returning, and just, we sat down and met and, got to know her, kind of wanted to see where her head was at and things like that. But, I'll never forget, she came in with kind of a list of questions that I think was probably from them collectively talking, just kind of curious. At that point you've got a new head coach. There's a lot of questions and things there's a lot of uncertainty, and certainly it was change, and human nature sometimes just naturally doesn't like change. It just makes you uncomfortable. So I think more than anything was just sitting down and starting to have conversations and talk through things and try to put her and put them at ease as far as believe in what we're doing, trust us in the process here, and everything I promised them was everything I would do would be in the best interest of the program, every decision I made. And so I told them I'm not going to be perfect, but everything I do I'll try to put all of you in the best position possible where we can accomplish what we want to accomplish.
Where does her leadership shine? Just what's where is she able to show that off?
Sydney?
Yeah.
Just everything. It's just how she approaches things every day. I think her leadership in the past, prior to this year, was probably more by example. She's always been, hardest worker, selfless, doesn't care who gets the credit, like all those leadership qualities, she certainly had. And then I think this year my biggest thing with her and the thing that she had to develop was now being not only a leader in the same way she had been before, but now with a voice. And not just as a cheerleader voice, but being able to say things that needed to be said or hold people accountable. And that comes with, it just doesn't happen. It comes with practice. And I think that both her and Anaya started doing that early and understood the need for it. And she's just become a voice on the team, and I don't know what it was like before, but I think her leadership was always by example. But this year just has really stepped up as far as being the voice of the team.